So we are starting the session. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Once again, welcome to Microsoft Cloud Security Technical Event. Welcome to the day 3. So last 2 days, we were discussing about cloud security principle. We were discussing about a couple of cloud security services which you can able to use on in the Microsoft Cloud. Yesterday, we have been concluded our session with a host security service called Microsoft Azure Security Bastion Service. It's called Azure Bastion Service is the component. Uh, we can use it for providing a connectivity part. So yesterday we have considered a couple of points. If you are in an organization or in a client premises where you have configured a n number of VMs, how you can able to make a communication or how you can able to make a connection to the VM. What is the connectivity method in a secured way we can able to use it. So that is a topic we have been covered yesterday. All of us are already understood. The moment when you create a VM, by default, it's getting a private IP address and you're getting a public IP address also. The public IP address is the IP address which is been routable in internet, that basically known as a public IP address. So we understood public IP address, if you're using in a Microsoft Azure scenario, there is a cost is been involved. So only the couple of the IP address which you can able to use in internet or the IP address which you are using in internet is been provided by the ISP. In our case, it's been provided by the CSP here. So there is a charge is involved. Now, consider a scenario where you have a more than 1,000 or more than n number of computers has been available, and all these computers are using a public IP address. There is a general concern we used to get from the clients. One, it's been like the finance or the budget part, especially the cost part. Second one, it's about the compromising the network security also, because the connection option which you have seen in the past, it's be like if anyone want to connect to the computer, you have a connection is being configured with the help of a public IP address, with the help of a RDP, user connection was made. Then that was the concerns we were getting in the past. Now, for preventing that, we understood we can use an alternate option that's called gem server or a gateway server. So that generally it's been configured on in the perimeter. On the perimeter network, you have configured your uh, configuration, right? So for example, like it's been like in a gem server or in the perimeter, you are placing a VM. That VM is being configured with a uh, public IP address. Then we understood a couple of points over there. Give me a second. So that moment we understood in case if you are using a gem server or a gateway server, management of that VM is the responsibility of a client or a user. The reason it's been like the moment when you're configuring a VM, that has been acting like a ISAS solution. So technically that is an ISAS product. So responsibility of managing that VM has been coming under the responsibility of ours. That's the reason we started using another concept called Bastion service. With the help of a Bastion service, you are able to make a communication or you are able to make a uh, security or you are able to make a communication to your internal resource with the help of HTTP or a HTTPC protocol. So this is the topic right now we have been discussed. Now, today's topic, we are trying to consider a couple of points here, like how to make a communication or how the communication can be established within a network, how the isolation or segmentation can be done, how the security can be enabled with the help of a NSG or a firewall. So this is the topic right now we are covering. So we'll be starting with a concept called subnet. We'll be discussing about a concept of NSG. We'll be discussing about firewall and we'll be discussing about a DDoS. So this is the topic we are covering. Let's start one by one. Now, right now we understood if you're using a cloud or Microsoft on-premises one, IP address has been mandatory for making any kind of a communication on in a portal. How this has been made? This has been made with the help of a IP address. Right now we understood the IP address which you can able to use in internal and internet. It's been divided into two. One is a private IP address. Second one was it's about public IP address. You have a private IP address and you have a public IP address also. So a couple of points you need to remember on a public IP address case. If you're considering a public IP address, this is being automatically assigned by the CSP. There is no much a role is being available from us. So in case if you're configuring any VM or any device on in a portal, this has been completely managed by the cloud itself. Now, if you're taking a either public IP address or a private IP address, there are two mode you can able to configure. You may be already aware that it's been a static or this can be configured as a dynamic also. So this can be static or a dynamic. Now, for a security perspective, we understood the public IP address needs to be a remote or the term we have used is called disassociation. So by default, the IP address has been assigned here. It's been configured in a static mode. Depends upon what is the type of SKU you have been used. Now, if you are using Microsoft portal here, so you can able to see there are two way you can able to configure it here. Now, if you go to the Microsoft Cloud portal, in case someone want to create a public IP address is a resource. So you need to connect to the Microsoft portal. Right now, I hope you can able to see the Microsoft portal here. This is the Azure layout window you may be able to see here. So in case if I want to configure a public IP address, I can type here it's called public IP address. So this will take you to a window where you can able to give public IP address here. So the moment when you're trying to create a public IP address, there are two way you can able to configure here. You can able to configure it's in a static mode or a dynamic mode. Depends upon what is the mode of public IP address you're using. This is basically known as stopkeeper unit. It's called based on what is the type of the feature you need, what is the type of the redundancy you need, how you want to configure a public IP address. Based on that, there are two mode you can able to configure here. So it can be standard and a basic also. So IP address can be configured in a dynamic mode or in a static mode also. So the moment if I'm giving IP address here, for example, like I'm just giving like a test public IP address, I'll be getting an IP address from Microsoft. I need to assign into a resource group. I'm just giving a resource group and just create it. So the moment I have been created a public IP address and this has been configured in a dynamic mode. It's been configured in a dynamic mode. Now I'm getting a question. What is the difference between what is the difference between static mode or a dynamic mode? This basically, if you're considering um, a type of the feature you want to get, Susan, on in a cloud, there is a concept like availability zone or availability set or a zone redundant or a zonal. There are a couple of availability feature is being supported on in the Microsoft Azure. So whether this feature is being supported on a standard or a basic, it's been completely depends upon the mode it's been deciding. Basically availability options. So basically standard SKU will give you all the latest availability options like a zone redundant or a zonal, or in case if you want to configure any public load balancers or application gateway, or if you want to configure any kind of a static allocation of your method. So that generally it's been done with the help of SKU. This is basically a mode of configuration. You don't need to worry too much about that. Basically, almost all organization nowadays when you selecting an option called standard SKU. So this is the option it's been selected. Now coming on into the um, public IP address configuration part. Now you are in a customer place and you are responsible for um, configuring a public IP address. One point you need to remember, we understood the time of the creation of a public IP address. you are getting an option for static IP address. So I can see Susan has been asked like which situation you are going to use a static IP address. So all of us are already familiar. Dynamic IP address means that every time if the system is been rebooting, your public IP address will be changed. I'm just giving a scenario. I'm in a customer place. I have a web server is been configured. So this is my web server. This web server got a public IP address. This public IP address is been assigned with a with a dynamic mode. You think from a angle, every time you are rebooting this web server, this has been configured with the IAS web server. I've been configured, it's as a robin.com. So every time I have been rebooted my server, my public IP address is been getting changed. All of us are already aware that in case if you are making any web server or a website, always we need to tag into a public IP address in the application pool. So you think a scenario every time the public IP address is getting and customers are coming with an escalation saying that, hey, Joven, or hey, Surak, your website has been not working. What was the prime reason behind that? Because the dynamic IP address was it's been it's been changing every time. So that the reason it's like we were getting this kind of escalation. So in that kind of a situation, mostly in the customer place, instead of going for a dynamic mode, users will be going for a Azure static mode that will ensure that the public IP address is being configured in a static mode. So the customers will have a static IP address will be available. So you won't be the public IP address won't be changed on into the cloud portal. So that kind of a situation, you can go for the public IP address here or a public IP address in a static mode. A couple of points you need to remember here on mm, when you are designing or configuring a public IP address. First point, it's been like each region, because the moment when you create a resource or a public IP address, you are aware about a concept of region or in our term, we can say it's like a data center. So each region or each data center using a different available address that's been provided by the CSP. So for example, like your US may be getting a IP address from a class A, your West US maybe is getting an IP address from 6, or your UK may be getting an IP address starting with a 20. So technically, each region will have a different pattern or different pool of our IP address will be allotted. So IP address are allocated from a range that is been unique for each region in each Azure cloud. And so why I'm saying this, this has been unique because in case if you're planning to move any kind of a IP address or a web server from one region to another region, you cannot use the same IP address in a different region. Because for example, like in East to East region, you got a public IP address of 4.x.x, and tomorrow due to some X or Y reason, or your user may be relocated to some X or Y country, and you want to move the physical server which has been configured in the East to East and which has got an IP address of 4 dot. You can move to other region, but you cannot move the public IP address. So you may have to reconfigure a web server with a new public IP address. So the reason it's like the public IP address which you are allotting in each cloud or in each region have a unique IP address. So it's been you need to remember public IP address cannot be moved between the regions. So in a technically in a simple word, all public IP address are region specific. So in case if your business needs to have a different data centers needs to connect each other, and then you have to use another concept of VPN or VNet peering kind of a concept. So don't mix that with a public IP address. End of this session, you need to understand public IP address which has been assigned on in a Microsoft Azure. It's been unique, and you cannot move this from one region to another region. Another point you need to remember, for example, like already if you have a public IP address which we were using on in the past in the on-premises one, you cannot bring your own public IP address also from on-premises network to Azure. So that is another important point. For example, like already if you have purchased some public IP address and past it was using on in a Azure, in a on-premises one, you cannot move it here. So there's another point you need to remember it. So the public IP address which is allotting, this needs to be configured in a region specific way. Now, VNet concept already you are aware. The moment when you have created a VNet, the VNet is being generally configured with a private IP address. So the private IP address, the IP address which you can use in internal, generally it's been using the private IP address here. So I'm not giving any much discussion about how the subnet is been working. So already you maybe attended AZ500 or a 104 training program. So please do a brush up of subnet configuration of the VNet. Right now I need to share some information about a private IP address here. Private IP address is being used internally, and the IP address which you are assigning to private IP address or the internal VNet IP address is being assigned with a private IP address. So the moment when you're planning to create a VNet in your organization, this will be configured with a private IP address. Let's see here. I'm going to create a VNet here. You can go back to your portal. We have a couple of resources being created here. Let me delete that first. I don't want you guys to get confused. I'm just creating, delete that. So we'll ensure that. Wait a second. So otherwise you may get confused. You may be thinking like from where this entry has been came. So let's wait. So the deletion is in progress. So the resource group deletion is in progress. So we need to wait a minute. So we can able to see the whatever the resource has been created is been deleting. Suddenly the echo started coming. Let me reconnect the headset. Is it better now? Is it better now? Mic test, mic test. Yeah, thank you. So we are on an Azure portal and we are trying to create a VNet here. So let's wait. So the VNet is almost, yes, we have been created last resource group as well. So the cloud batch is the one it's been pending. So let's wait for that. I'm just let me zoom it. So it's been hardly it will take a minute time because there was some couple of resources was there. So I don't want you guys to get confused with this. Now we are going to discuss about a VNet, how the communication can be secured from one network to another network, how the communication is generally it's been working. So this point we are going to discuss. So because when you are planning to have any kind of a security implementation in your organization, you should understand how your network is been working, because You should understand the concept, then only you'll be able to block it, right? In case if there is any traffic is coming, you should understand from where to where the communication is been starting and who is your source point and who is your destination. Is there any default communication is been available in your network? That is an important point you need to understand. So before implementing any firewall or before implementing a VPN, you should understand, is there any kind of a networking is being established automatically on the system. So that is the lab. Right now we are able to do it because you should know where is the origination. It's been kind of originating. The traffic has been originating. So then only you will be able to make necessary communication block or allowing or kind of a controlling can be done in a portal. So we are deleting the group. Let's wait. Parallel, let me create a resource group also. Resource group name I'm giving it's called, we'll give a name, simple name called orange is the, or we'll give a name it's called finance department. Okay. Finance department is the resource group we are giving. And this we are creating North Europe data center. So we have created a resource group in the North Europe data center. Right now you can able to see resource group is been created and name is given finance. Now in the North Europe data center, I'm creating two subnet. One subnet I'm giving, it's been prod, and second one I'm giving, it's called development. There's a two subnet I'm giving. Let's create that. Let's go to virtual network. Right now I'm going to create a virtual network here. In the same resource group, I given VNet name is called finance network. I just given finance VNet in the same region. So the important point you need to remember, your resource and your networking has to be on the same data center. You cannot have VNet in one location and resource in another location also. So your VNet and virtual network and your resource has to be on the same location. Go to the IP address range. I'm using 10 dot series. Here I'm again making a chunk of IP address. I'm making one, it's been prod subnet or yeah, prod subnet. I'm being use prod subnet. I've been use again whatever IP address if I'm using here. Again, I've been sliced or again I made it say small subunit. It's been a prod subnet. I given 10.0.0. These I added one more subnet. I've been added. It's called development subnet. It's been given 1.0 also. It's 10.0.1.0/24. So development is the name we are given. So 10 dot and subnet is being given. So we have created a VNet. So right now the deletion is right now the creation of your VNet is in progress. Right now it's in a validation stage. Validation is been completed, saying that there is a VNet is been creating in the North Europe region, and this has been creating in a range 10 dot. Again, the 10 dot is being subdivided into two chunks. One is a subnet A and this is a subnet B. So the name we are given development subnet and a production subnet. Is there any audio issue? Because Akmal has been commented audio is not clear. Sudag, if you can help me. Is there any audio issue?
No, I don't think it is clear for me.
Yeah. Thank you, Sudag, for confirming. So Akmal, you may have to check your the Teams connectivity on your side. You may can just rejoin. Nowadays the Teams has been crazy, so you can just rejoin it. So let's go back to the topic. Right now we are in a customer place. We are trying to understand how the communication generally it's been happening on in a network side. And based on that, you may be able to make a traffic control within a VNet or a different regions here. So this is the lab right now we are doing. Right now, we are on the first phase of this lab. We are trying to create a virtual network in the North Europe. So validation has been successfully completed. You are getting a green tick mark and you are able to see validation passed message on the Azure portal. Now I'm giving create. Right now on in your notification area, you may be able to getting a pop-up here saying that, hey admin, there is a network deployment is being started, and all these informations are updated in the activity log. If tomorrow if someone want to do any kind of a root cause analysis, or someone want to understand who created this vnet, or in case if there is some outages been coming, you need to find out who created this network deployment on the organization. So all kind of activities generally it's been tracked inside the activity log, so that the message or that the information you are getting on the notification. Let me close that notification alert message. And right now on the screen, you are able to see a message saying that, hey admin, whatever configuration you have been given, that deployment has been completed. So now I need to access this one. You can able to click directly on the go to resource, or you can type virtual network here. This will take you into the same configuration. Both are taken to the same resource. If I'm typing virtual network right now, you can the screen, you are getting a message saying that, hey admin, there is a virtual network is being configured with a private IP address. Why I'm saying a private IP address, because the IP address I've been used, it's been 10.0.0.series. So there is no cost is been involved here. So you may be thinking like, is there any pricing or a cost is been involved for VNet? No, there is not no cost is been involved. It's a free of cost. So whatever IP address or whatever private IP address you are using on an Azure portal, it's been completely free. You don't need to pay anything to that, to the private IP address. So all the communication or all internal communication, for example, like connection from one computer to another computer, or any kind of a name resolution internally, or in case if you want to do any kind of a authentication or authorization or internal resource configuration, if you want to do that, generally it's been done with the help of a local DNS server only. Now, if you're taking the VNet, if you're clicking on a address space, you can able to see the address space is being configured with a 10 dot series, and you may be able to see there is an option called subnet. In the subnet, you may be able to see there is a two subnet is being created. One is a prod subnet and one is being created a development subnet. Now let's go back to the whiteboard. Let's see how what are the configurations so far we have done. So the lab so far we have done. One second. Yeah, I hope you can able to see a whiteboard. The lab so far we have done. You have created a resource group. Resource group name you have given it's been finance. This has been created inside a data center. It's called North Europe. Inside a North Europe, again you created a two VNet. The first VNet name, right now we have been created only one. We have given it's called finance VNet, and you given a address range 10.0.0.16. Inside VNet, again you created a two subnet. One subnet you given is a name is called development. You given range 10.0.1.0-24. Second VNet you given a name prod. Prod VNet you are given. This range has been chunk of this main IP address, so given 10.0.0-24. So right now we are trying to do a communication lab here, trying to understand how the communication generally happening. So I'll be able to make all kind of a communication control or a traffic management or a filtering. So right now I'm going to implement two VM here. In the prod VNet, I'll implement two VM. One is like VM1. I'll implement VM2 also. Then let's try to see whether these computers are able to communicate each other or not. Any question before moving to this? How comfortable you are? Any questions? If you're good, can you comment it on the chat so I can ensure that we both are on the same page? Any question from any members? This is the lab right now we are doing. We are trying to understand making a communication inside a VNet, trying to understand how the communication generally it's been enabling, because without knowing how this generally is happening, we won't be able to make any kind of a traffic management or a filtering for a security. In case if you want to enable a security in your organization, first thing we should understand the concept. We should understand how the communication or from which IP address generally the packet is been originating, right? There you need to block it. So a few people has been commented. It's been well and good. Requesting rest of the members also to comment, so at least we can ensure we both are traveling together on the same page and you are able to follow me as well. Thank you. So waiting response from the all members. You only one single comment, good or bad, or it's like able to follow, so at least we can, yeah, because you are putting personal effort and we need to understand, appreciate your time. We need to ensure that you are understanding this concept. Super, Albert. Thank you. So this is the lab right now we are going. So we are completed. What are the actions so far we have been completed? So we have completed North region installation. We have completed finance installation. Resource group is being created. We have created a finance VNet also. We have completed a two subnet creation also. So next lab, we are going to implement VM1 and VM2. Let's go back to the portal. Right now, I'm inside virtual machine, creating a virtual machine. So let's go click on the virtual machines here. I'm enabling the first VM on the same subnet. Let's wait. Let me give you a name called VM1, the same North Europe. Um, I'll select a window so it's easy for us to connect it. I've been enabled, given the username and password. People maybe think like if I forgo this password, how this can be reset. You have option for resetting a password also. This password information is being updated inside the operating system, not on the Azure portal. This is important point you need to remember. This username and password is using for connecting to the operating system. Given a name here, I've been enabled a virtual machine creation here. So let's wait. So let's wait. So installation of VM1 is in progress. So deployment of VM1 is been in progress. Parallel, let me create a VM2 also, so we can save some time. So let me create a VM2 as well on the same subnet. So you can able to see VM2 also it's been created. Availability zone not required. But Instead of the subnet, I'll be using a different. Let me create a same subnet first, okay? Let me create it on the same subnet. It's the production subnet. I've been created on the production subnet. Two VM on a same subnet we are creating. Let's create VM2 also. Once both the VMs are ready, we'll try to connect it and we'll try to see is there any kind of a communication is available. So let's wait. So deployment of the VM2 is in progress. So VM1, it's been running fine here. Okay, so we'll connect to that. So for making a communication, we need a second VM also. Good morning, Dilip. Thank you for joining. So the VM2 on the same subnet creation is in progress. So let's wait. Generally, it will take 2 to 3 minutes. That's the standard time we have. So you are getting the notification area, the message saying that, hey, admin, your deployment has been completed. Now let me refresh my computer or my Azure portal. You may be able to see, you will be able to see the VM1 and VM2 has been created. So let me connect to the VM1 now. Let me connect using a public IP address. Let me connect to the VM1. So let's connect it. Taking RDP to the VM. So let's make a communication there. This is the VM right now. You can able to see we are trying to connect to VM1. You may be able to see here and just given RDP and connecting to the VM1. So you can able to see the VM1 which is been configured on the subnet prod VNet has been configured. So right now the profile is right now the profile is been it's been loading. Right now, if you go to the VM properties or IP address, if you're checking, you may be able to see here. Host name you can able to see for your typing. It's been VM1. I hope you can able to see here. This is a VM1 is the name you can able to see here. Let me maximize. You may be able to see you. The name we are given, it's been VM1. Now, if you're taking an IP address, you may be able to see this got an IP address from the same subnet 10.0.0.4. Now, if you go back to the whiteboard, if you go back to whiteboard, your VM1 is being installed and VM2 also it's been installed. Now your VM1 got an IP address from this subnet. And what is the IP address now? 10.0.0.4. I hope this has been clear to everyone. 10.0.0.4. So this VM installation has been completed. Now, if you go to VM2, let's see what is the IP address it's got. Now, let's go to VM2. Before that, let's block this. Let me just disable this firewall here, because by default the firewall is even enabled, that sometimes block IZMP packet. So I don't want you guys to get confused. So let's block this. Okay, so domain private firewall also, let me block it. Let's go and connect to VM2 now. VM2 is been connected. I'm connecting to VM2. VM2 is being connected. You can able to see the VM2 is connection is in progress. Now, if you go to the CMDB and properties, you can able to see it's 10.0.5. Right now, if I'm trying to ping the VM1, which has been configured on in the same subnet, you may be able to see it's able to communicate each other. See, I'm able to communicate the VM which is configured on the same VNet. You can able to see this able to communicate each other. Now you go to the second computer also. By default, if you are able to, you will be able to communicate from here to that computer as well. 10.0.0.5. That is a fire ICMP has been blocked there. Okay, there has been OS firewall has been blocking. It's not Azure one. Your local firewall has been blocking. It's not the Azure one. This OS has been blocking your ping communication there, because I haven't configured any rule here. So it's OS has been blocking. You can able to see you are able to ping both the computer here, VM1 or a VM2 also. So if you go back to the whiteboard, the topic right now we are discussing, you have a two VM available, VM1 and VM2. Both are configured on in a subnet. What is the takeaway from this session? Takeaway from the session, it's like if you have any device configured in a subnet which can able to communicate each other, all the traffic between or traffic within a subnet is been enabled by default. You're getting a point? This really it's coming on in a scenario. For example, like you have a DB server or Active Directory or user computers, or you have a guest users. Think all these users are placed inside a same subnet. From cloud security point, you need to remember by default, all these computers are able to communicate each other. So your responsibility is to make a traffic filtering here. In case if you're not looking to the subnet level, if you're thinking only from the top view on a firewall or a VPN, you may be blocking all the concept over there. But in the ground or in the resource level, by default, if any resource is been configured in a subnet, within a subnet, all resources will be able to communicate each other. Is this point is been clear to everyone? Right now, you can able to see we have a prod subnet is been created. Within a prod, you have a VM1 and VM2 is here. These both are able to communicate each other. Is this is been clear to everyone? If yes, can you comment it on in a chat? Any question from anyone? Super. Now, so right now we have been considered a term or a topic like within a VNet, how the communication is been coming. So why we have been considered this? Because when you go back to your office or when you go back to handling a network, in the same subnet itself, you may be having 100 or a 200 device you are maybe able to place it. So that resource can be a user computer, it can be a desktop computer, or it can be guest users, or it can be visitors, or it can be Active Directory, or it can be mail server. So by default, the communication is enabled. That doesn't mean that you are not, hello. So I'm saying by default, the communication is being enabled. So your responsibility is to make a traffic control over there. How generally this will be doing? This will be doing with the help of a concept called NSG. There is a term is been coming in the next session after the break. That's called Network Security Group. There is a kind of internal firewall. With the help of a network security group, you will be doing a all traffic management or a network filtering within a subnet. Is this point is being clear to everyone? Why we have been considered this case study? The reason it's been like end of the session, you need to understand if you have enabled a VNet or a subnet in your organization, within a subnet by default communication is being enabled. Now we'll take a break. After the break, is not NSU. The term is called NSG. It's called Network Security Group. The term or the right terminology is called NSG, not NSU, NSG. NSG is G. Okay, this is a typing mistake. NESG. NSG is the term generally we are using. Network Security Group. That will act like an internal firewall. So we'll be trying to do that NSG lab next. Now, after a break, we'll try to create another VNet on another region, and we'll try to make a communication between different subnet. We'll try to make a communication between a different VNet on in the same region as well also. Then we'll move to the firewall or NSG configuration. So far we have been discussed about a subnet in the subnet communication within a subnet, how the communication is being enabled. Gabber, I'm coming to that topic after the break. So we'll try to create another VM on in a development network, and we'll try to see whether the subnet to subnet configuration is by default is being enabled, or if it is enabled, what are the action we need to use it. Uh, Sujit, you can able to delete in case if you want, because in case if you're not deleting, there will be some charge will be the, because basically there will be a compute and storage cost will be you need to pay whenever you're creating a VM. So in case if you're using a free account or if you're using a pass account, I recommend you to delete your VM or decommission your VM if you're really not using. Otherwise, unnecessarily you'll be paying the money to cloud service provider because you have got only $200 on in the bucket. Now, if you enabled for example, like 3 or a VM, and if you're not decommissioned or you're not deleted, all this 200 will be changed into zero, and you will not be able to do rest of your labs. So with that note, we are taking a 5 minutes break, and after break, as Gabber mentioned, like inter subnet communication we are trying to see, and we'll try to see inter VNet communication and different region communication as well. So thank you. Muting for a 5 minutes, and after break, we are going for the VNet communication and the blocking part. Thank you. I hope all are back. If you're back, can you comment it on the chat? And our communication links into the Discord, Facebook, and WhatsApp is being pinned on in the chat window. In case if you're not connected with the Discord, please connect. All the event details, information you will be getting on that. All the Power BI, Azure, or Microsoft training related information is being available on the Discord. And we have created a dedicated WhatsApp group also in case if you want to have any kind of mentorship or even details, or if you want to live, if you want to connect with us, we have created a WhatsApp group as well. And Facebook also, we have another platform where we used to send our notification. So requesting all the member to use this portals and links for connecting with us. So let's go back to the topic. I hope all are back, right? So yeah. Now before break, we were discussing about subnet communication, right? So within a subnet, we understood resources are able to communicate each other. Now, if you go back to this portal here, you may be able to see you have a two VM. It's been created on in the same subnet are able to communicate here. VM1 to VM2 communication is been now you are seeing this communication is been live and you are able to communicate here. See, I just marked in green color here. So this communication is been by default, it's been allowed. From security point of view, you need to remember if you're placing any resource within a subnet, ensure that that communication has been filtered and it's been managed also. Now let's see about a VM2 here. Let's try to see what is the default communication status about one subnet to one subnet were within a one VNet. Okay, within a VNet, if you have multiple subnet, how this is being enabled. So this is the lab right now we are doing. So I'm for this doing this lab. Let me create another VM. I'll be creating a VM name called VM3, and we'll try to see is there any communication between VM2 and VM1 into 3. Is there any kind of a communication between prod VNet to development? This is the lab. Right now we are trying to do it. Let's go back to the portal. This is your portal now. We are creating a VM3 on in a different subnet now. Same resource group, name I'm giving VM3, username it's been given created. So subnet have been configured. Network, it's been development. Development, it's been configured. I've been configured into your VM3 on the development subnet and created. So VM3 on the development is in a progress state. Validation has been completed now. I've been created also. So the deployment of VM3 is in progress. So VM3, it's on the final creation stage. So VM3 has been created now. So you can able to see VM3 is been created in a different subnet. You can able to see this has been created in the development subnet. You can able to see the virtual network is in finance VNet, but it's been connected in the development subnet. But if you go back to VM1 or VM2 here, you can able to see the virtual network is been created in the finance and it's been created in the production subnet. See, it's in a production subnet. And VM2 also you can able to see this has been created in the production subnet. Right now we understood any VM which is been hosted in the production subnet are able to communicate each other. Now we are trying to see if it is a different subnet, what is the situation is being able to communicate between a different subnet in a VNet is possible or not. That is a lab. Right now we are able to do it. For testing this one, let me connect to VM3. VM3, I mean connecting using the public IP address. So I'm just taken a public IP address of this computer. It's been 13.79. So this is the public IP address. I'm connecting with the help of remote desktop. I given this 13.79.76.236. I'm just clicking connect. Got the remote desktop. Let me connect it. So the VM3 is being connected now. Now this is being hosted in a different subnet that has been in development. So let's see what is the IP address. You may be able to see this has been configured with 10.0.1.4. So let me ping with the VM1 10.0.0.4. You may be able to see between a different subnet also by default the communication it's been available. I hope you got the point. So in your organization, even though if you are configured your devices or a VM on in a different segment or in a different subnet as part of a isolation, from a security point of view, you need to understand, even though if you're placing your resources on a different subnet, by default, the communication is been available. So you need to remember or you need to keep this point in your mind, because the moment when you are enabling NSG or when the moment when you are making any kind of a traffic management, this point you need to consider, because subnet to subnet communication by default has been allowed. Now you think a scenario, all your guest users are placed in one account and all your HR payslip or a financial or a confidential servers are placed in another subnet. By default the communication is here, right? So I'm a hacker, I came to your office and I've been connected your computer into this net, and if I'm able to communicate each other, there is a chance of network compromise here. So you need to make a subnet to subnet communication also to be filtered. So this is the point here, right? So if you go back to the whiteboard, what is the point you have learned here? If you go back to this portal here, right now we have enabled a development VNet. Development VNet is configured. You have configured a VM3 also. Now you learned by default communication from one VNet to another VNet is being active. Where this has been happening? All this has been happening within a same VNet. Within the same VNet, you have created two subnet, and within a VNet, intra-subnet communication is being enabled. If you have multiple subnet, by default within a VNet, the communication is been working. Any question from anyone? From a security point of view, you need to remember this point. If you have a multiple subnet is been configured, the communication by default is been allowed. So you need to make a, you need to look into that communication path, whether this really needed. In case if you are not required, you may have to block it. I'm pausing here for taking a question. So any question related to this one? Thank you. Thank you for that motivating and positive comment on the chat. So thank you. So good to know that at least whatever knowledge we are sharing is being able to understand to you. Thank you for that. Rest of the members, are you on with me, or it's been like any question or concerns? Thank you, Raj. Rest of the members also, if you can post your, yeah, thank you. So good to go to the next part. Yes, super. Now, right now within a VNet, we have seen. Now let's consider another VNet on the same data center. Right now, I'm going to create another VNet in the same data center. It's called HR VNet. HR VNet in the same data center. And here also I'll create a subnet. I'll create a subnet called subnet C. Then I'll try to see. I'll create a VM called VM4. Then we'll see whether this inter subnet, sorry, inter VNet, because these both are in a two different network, right? This is something like you have a chemistry department and you have a physics department. These are both are in different building. Now in a, this is something like that. This just consider like it's a chemistry department and this is your physics department. Now, are we able to communicate this VNet? This is the lab right now we are able to do. So this point you are clear. Within a subnet, the communication is enabled. Now between a different subnet, the communication is enabled. Now we are considering a different scenario here. In case if you are in a region, if you have a multiple VNet is been enabled or it's been available, is there any kind of a communication? So this is the lab right now we are doing. So let's create another VNet here. Let's give the name called HR VNet. So let's go back to the portal. So right now I'm inside Microsoft Azure portal. We are trying to create a different network here. So let's create another network. So I given a name called development. I given a name called develop. Sorry, I'll give HR network, right? This is the name we have decided. Here also I just enabled a subnet called subnet C. And review and created. So right now we are creating another VNet here. That is the validation right now we are doing. Initiated another VNet creation also. It's in a progress state. Deployment you can able to see on in the notification area. It's been started another VNet creation here. We need to wait a second. So right now you may be able to see. So right now you can able to see here, this has been created a virtual network. Now, if you go back to the virtual network tab here, so right now you can able to see you have a second VNet, HR VNet is been created here. You may be able to see here, it's been created on the same resource group. I'm going to place another VM here. VM name I'm giving, it's called VM4. VM4 is being given. VM4 is been created. You can able to see I have been selected the network as HR VNet here. You may be able to see here. Here I have been selected HR VNet. So obviously this will be getting an IP address from the same VNet. So review and created. Validation has been pending. So look like I forgot to give the username and password. That's the reason it's getting a message. So it's been created. So the VM4 is in progress. So we need to wait. So the VM4 on a different subnet, it's almost in progress. Let's wait. Yes, right now the VM4 deployment is being completed. Now, if you go back to VM, you can able to see the VM4 is been created. and this has been created in completely a different VNet. See here, it is not created in the finance VNet. This has been completely created in a different VNet. Now let me go and connect it here. Let's see whether I'm able to connect to the VNet here. So let's see here. Let me try to see whether I'm able to connect to the finance VNet, which we have been created in the past. So I'm just connecting. So right now we have been connected to VM4. Now let's see, are we able to communicate to this or not? You can able to see here. So yes, your firewall also, let me block it. Now we are in VM4, which has been hosted in another VNet. So you can able to see this has been 1.0.4. Now if I'm trying to ping to the VM1, right now if you could just go back to whiteboard in case if people got confused. Right now the lab right now we have done, you have created a HR VNet. HR VNet we have done. We have created a subnet. Inside that you have configured a VM4 also. Right now we are trying to see, is there any kind of a communication between VM4 to VM3? And we are trying to see, is there any kind of a communication between these two VNet, which has been configured inside in a resource group. Right now we have been connected remote desktop to this VM4, and we are seeing whether I'm able to communicate to VM1, VM2, and VM3. Let's see practically that how this has been working. So right now you can able to see this is a VM4. Right now we can able to see the host name. You may be able to see the name is been VM4. Right now I'm trying to ping to VM1. VM1 IP was 10.0.0.4. So what is the message you are getting? From one VNet to another VNet, by default, there is no communication. In the past, we have seen within a subnet or between a different subnet, communication was available. That was within a VNet. Now, if you have a scenario, if you have a different VNet, if you have configured in your organization, whether it's in a same region, right now, if you are seeing the development network, this has been created in the same region. By default, there is no communication between one VNet to another VNet. Is this point has been clear to everyone? I'm pausing here for taking a question. So in case if you have any question, we can able to have a discussion. Now you may be having one question in your mind. For example, like if you're working in an organization, your database server is in one VNet and application server in another VNet. How can I make a communication? Or I'm taking another scenario like your DNS is in one VNet and users or a VM in another VNet. How to make a communication? So this generally it's been making with the help of a concept of VNet peering. So that is a concept generally we are using with the help of a VNet peering. We are making the communications. So with the help of a VNet peering, we'll do that. I'll show you how VNet peering is being enabled. So far, how to communicate between a VNet. So that the point I was saying, the communication is being enabled with the help of a concept called VNet peering. I'll be coming to that point next. I'm discussing about a VNet peering. Before that, let me enable a VNet in a different region also. Right now, all this exercise we were doing in one data center, right? Let's try to do in a different data center also. And let's try to see whether we are able to make any kind of a communication from one region to another region. Let's do that lab. Before that, any question from any members? If you're good, can you comment it on the chat? Thank you. Okay, now let's go back to the whiteboard. So right now the old exercise we were doing in the North Europe data center. Let's create another data center, East US data center. In the East US data center, let me create another resource group called Orange. In the Orange, I'm creating a network called Orange VNet. I'll be configuring a server called database server, DB server. Now let's see whether we are able to communicate from this region to this region or one data center to another data center by default. So we are discussing by default communication because end of this event, you may be going and working as a security engineer. You should understand by default, is there any kind of a default communication is been by default available. So that the reason this point is been discussing. So right now you can able to see it's been a different data center communication we are making. So we are going to create another VNet in a East US data center, trying to make a communication. Let's go back to the portal. Now, right now, if you're seeing all this virtual network, this was created in the North Europe, right? Now let's create it in a East US. I am just giving a name called Orange in the East US data center. So let's go and create it in East US data center. So let me give a name called Orange VNet. IP address is a default one. Let's create and it doesn't matter. Create it. So right now the another VNet creation on a different data center is in progress. Right now you can able to see in the notification area deploy when this been started. So the deployment of VNet has been completed here. You can go back to the virtual network here. You can able to see Orange VNet. This has been created in the East US data center. Let's create a VM inside this one. I'm going and creating a VM on in that server. So let's create a name. Let's give a name called a DB server. I'm just giving Orange. Name I given it's been DB. So east to yes availability is not required. All the details have been provided here. Orange VNet have been connected. The DB server installation also it's been progress. So the deployment is in progress. So it's been deployment is in progress. So let's wait. So the deployment of DB server is been finished now. You may be able to see DB server has been created here on the screen. You may be able to see in here. You can able to see the DB server has been created in the orange resource group, which has been created in the east to west. So the lab right now we are trying to do it here or trying to simulate here. If you want to connect from one region to another region or one VNet which has been configured from one VNet which has been configured in one region to another VNet which has been configured in the North Europe, is there any kind of a communication is been available or not? This is the lab. Right now we are trying to do it here. Now if you go back to your whiteboard, we have completed East to West deployment also. You have completed East to West data center deployment is completed. Inside that you created a resource group. You have created a VNet. Inside that you created a DB server also. Now, next lab currently we are trying to see, is there any kind of a communication between these two network? If it is no, what is the next mechanism we can able to make any kind of a communication? Because there are some situation you may in a reality or in a real scenario, you will come like DB server may be here, application server may be hosted in this network, or users may be here, your DNS server may be here. So this kind of a situation will come across in your day-to-day operations. Or you may have to make some kind of a filtering of your traffic from one VNet on the one region to another region. So how to make this one? This is the topic. Right now we are trying to understand it here. So this portion right now it's been available and it's been configured also. Now let's log into this computer and see whether you are able to communicate to the VM which is being configured on in the other VNet. Let's go back to the portal. You have a DB server has been active here. Connect to the portal here. Yes, Ranjit, I'm from India. And myself and Zurag has been connected from India now. And we have Chaitanya and Kushala also has been on the call. They also from India has been connected. So we have a trainers from globally also. So it depends upon the batch. We may can able to see people have been connecting from different place. So right now we both is been connected from India. So right now you can able to see DB is being connected here. And I'm trying to connect to this DB server through RDP. Let's go and connect it. No, Sujit, I've been associated with my MS in the past. I'm a Microsoft certified trainer. Do regular training for MS. We are associated with the Microsoft. This is a this is a initiative within our firm and the Microsoft to enable people on the cloud. That's the reason we are organizing this kind of a free webinars to ensure that people want to learn this cloud technology. It's enough. So that's the reason we started organizing this kind of events. So we are a partner of Microsoft. So right now we can able to see you have connected to VM4. Right now, if you go to portal here, so you may be able to see the name. It's been DB server. This depends upon what is the name you are given at the time of creation. Right now, let's try to ping to VM1, which is been constructed in the another VNet. Let's give ping 10.0.0.4. So you may be getting an error message saying that I'm able to communicate. So right now you can able to see one VNet to another VNet communication between a different data center is been by default, it's been not allowed. Clear? Right now we can able to see DB server is in a different network and this not able to communicate into the VM which is being connected in the different data center. Any question from anyone? Anuj is asking a question on the chat. How to communicate between VNet to DB server? So which VNet, Anuj? If you take a screen here, let me take you into the whiteboard. Now, can you tell me from where to where your confusion is coming? So this is a whiteboard. Anuj, if you can rephrase your question right now, we have a multiple VNet is being configured here. For example, like you have a finance VNet, you have a HR VNet, and you have a orange VNet, and you have a DB server also. So right now I'm using Windows operating system for my base one. Anuj, if you can rephrase your questions. Right now we have a three VNet. So your question is been connecting VNet 1 to DB server. VNet 1, there is no VNet 1 here. We have a VNet financier, we have a VNet HR VNet, and you have orange VNet and DB. So which VNet? You're trying to say that finance to DB server, right? Anuj, your question is being finance to DB server? Yes. So by default, there is no default communication from finance to DB server, Anuj. So that's the reason, like if you're seeing here, if you're considering this network, by default, there is no communication from one region to another region. Right now, if you're seeing Anuj here, finance to here, there is no communication. And there is no communication between subnet to one subnet here. Now, if you're seeing here, Subnet to subnet communication by default is been enabled. Within a subnet also VM to VM is been enabled here. Clear? So let's try to do another concept called peering. Now you may be having a lot of question in your mind, like for example, like your DB server is been hosted here and your users are here, and if there is no communication, how this communication can be established. So the next concept we are going to discuss is about a concept called network peering. How to make a network peering, how to make a communication from one region to another region, one VNet to another VNet. Any question from anyone before moving to that? Has been clear this concept of communication in a VNet has been clear. The important point for you, it's been like default communication, because as a security engineer or as a cloud engineer architect or a cloud security engineer, you should understand, is there any kind of a default communication is available, then you need to block it. So that's the reason we have covered this topic. Answering to Rajit's question, which type of the operating system currently you're using? Right now, the screen you're seeing, this is a Windows 11 operating system. I'm using Windows 11. My secondary laptop also it's been connected to Windows, and the third one has been connected with Mac. So this is the operating system right now I'm using for delivering this demo. And the operating system currently we have used on in the VM, we have used Windows Server Data Center version with 64-bit. So we are moving to the next module. The next module name is called network peering, or it's called VNet peering. Before moving that, any question from anyone? So we got 3 people has been confirmed. It's been clear now. So requesting the rest of the members also to post your views and feedback. So we can able to move to the next module. Thank you. So we'll take a 5 minutes break and we'll be moving to the next topic called VNet peering. We'll be discussing about two topics there, that's called global VNet peering, and we'll be discussing about regional VNet peering also. Because right now we have seen one region to another region, or within a region, if you have it to VNet communication is being not enabled. So we are trying to see how this can be enabled. So let's take a break. Now it's been 11:20, 11:30. You can back 10 minutes break and come back. And two topic we'll be discussing after the break: NSG and VNet peering. And after, again, we'll take a 5 minutes break. Then we'll go for the firewall topic. Thank you. I hope all are back because you need to confirm through the chat option. So let's go back to the whiteboard. So before break, we were discussing about default communication and how this is can be uh, blocked or how this can be connected. So for that, we understood how the default, how the communication is been established in a Azure scenario. Right now, this is the whiteboard. So far, the learnings we have, you need to comment it on the chat window. Okay, so you need to answer this one. So I'm just giving a scenario here. Give me a second, just let me type it. Yeah. So the first question for you today, being different region, right? I have a VNet configured in East to US data center is trying to connect to a VNet in West to US data center. So you need to comment on the chat window whether this communication is by default allowed or not allowed. Is there any kind of a communication is been available? Yes or no? I'm giving a two scenario. I have a two VNet. One it is configured in East to West and another is been configured in the West to West. So can you comment it on the chat whether this communication is been by default is been will work or not? So waiting response from all the members. So this is the lab we have done before the break. So can you comment because there is no available solution. Okay, thank you, Eric. Yes. So answer for this question is no. So you got 10 points. So most of the members has been answer the right answer. Now I have another scenario. Okay, good, good. So people are been commenting. That's been good. So happy that you learned the concept. So it's been happy that you understood this, the way it's been working. That's been good. Now let me give you another scenario. Let me take another case study. Okay. So another case study is I have a two subnet. I have a subnet A configured in East to West data center, and I have a subnet B configured on in the same data center. This communication is allowed or blocked. Can you comment it? Subnet to subnet on the same region. So answer for this question, because both are configured on the same region and on the same VNet. So communication from one subnet to another subnet by default it's been allowed. So answer is been right. Now I'm giving another scenario. I have a two VNet, broad VNet configured in the East to West data center, and I have a development VNet configured on the same region. Can you comment this communication is being allowed or not allowed? I repeat, I have a two VNet. One is broad VNet and I have a development VNet. Both are configured on the same data center. It's a VNet to VNet communication. So what is your opinion about this? The communication is being allowed or not allowed? So answer for this question, yes, the answer is been not allowed. So I think all of us are yes. So you made my day. So because everyone has been posted the right answer, I think Surag will go for a party. So everyone has been masters in now. Uh, uh, VNet communication and blocking. So it's happy that you understood this concept and you're able to understand the case studies and scenario. This is very happy. So thank you, team. So yes, it's been it's Ranjit. Yes, this calls for a party. So if we would have Friday, would have gone for a party. Now we'll wait after concluding this event. We'll go for a party. So thank you, team. So it's happy that you got the concept. Yes. Thank you, Albert. I'll give you so yeah, that's a nice comment. So thank you. Now you could also hire us. Okay. Yes. Thank you for the nice comments. Now, right now we are going for a scenario. In a couple of answers, we got a not allowed or it's been no. Now we are in a kind of in a situation. We have a right now. I'm just giving a scenario here. The first scenario, let's take it. You have a VNet here, and you have another VNet in another data center. So, for example, like your database server is being hosted in East to West data center, and your users are connected in West data center. Now, by default, there is no communication. So, how to make this communication here? So, this is the lab. Right now, we are able to do it. Now, for making it in this kind of a communication here, give me a second. Okay, now for making this kind of a inter VNet or inter network connections, generally we are using a concept in Azure. This is basically known as peering. This is a concept is going as peering. Now this peering is been can be configured in two way. So you can able to see this is basically known as regional VNet peering, and second one is known as global VNet peering. Okay. Now I have three friends here. One person is being connected from a country called India. I have a person called, this is person name is Ramesh. This person is Cristiano Ronaldo. Okay, both are from India. Okay. Now by default, they are not friends. Okay. So what you are going to do with the help of a peering concept, or you are saying like, hey, let's make a friendship. So they are making a friendship. So once you made a friendship, they will be able to communicate each other. So where this has been happening, in the same country, this has been happening, right? This is basically known as regional VNet peering. I'm giving another scenario. For example, like few before the break, you have created a two VNet in your East to West data center. What was that? One was a prod VNet, and you have a dev VNet also. So we understood by default one VNet to another VNet communication is not established. How this will work now? You will enable a feature inside in the VNet level. It's called peering. So where this is happening, this all activity is happening in the same data center. If you're making any peering between two VNet on the same region, that generally known as regional VNet peering. Concept is same only. Now you have another data center. This is called uh, West to US data center. In the West to US data center, you have another network called Orange Network. Few minutes before you have been called Orange VNet. In case if you are making a communication or trusting between these two net, or once you're enabling a peering from one data center to another data center, both are in a different one, right? These are global friends, right? One person is in one network and another network is from another one. So this is basically known as global VNet peering. So technically speaking, peering is a kind of a concept are using a network for making a communication between different VNet, because by default one VNet to another VNet communication is not working. So for making a communication, we are enabling a feature in the VNet level. So the point you need to remember, end of this class, you need to understand VNet peering are enabled in the VNet level, is not enabled in a VNet level, or it's not enabled in a subnet level. Peering is been always enabled in a VNet level. That's a very, very important point. So VNet peering is been always enabled in a VNet level. So that's an important point you need to remember here. So any question, anyone? Okay, good. Now let's try to see how this has been working. Now you can able to see here. So you have a two VNet has been configured here. So you have a prod and a development, and let's see. Yes, is that talk to VNet to VNet? Exactly, in ZEF. So we are trying to see about VNet to VNet communication. Now, if you're enabling a region to region, that is basically known as a global VNet peering. And uh, if you see if there is uh, a configuration has been coming, it's been lining uh, between a region, uh, within a region, it's called, it's basically known as, it's called a regional VNet peering. Okay, so that's the point you need to remember here. Now let's try to do a lab here. Now let's go back here. So once the peering has been enabled, you will be able to communicate each other. So let's try to do a lab here. Now let's go back to the portal. Right now you can able to see there is a three virtual network which been created here. One was, let's try to create a regional VNet peering first. What was the VNet we have been created in the North Europe? North Europe, we have a two VNet. One is a finance VNet and we have a HR VNet also. So we have a finance VNet and you have a HR VNet. So these are the two VNet right now we have available. Right now we understood finance VNet and HR VNet are not able to communicate. So let's make this communication here. Okay, let's try to see this communication is been established or is able to communicate or not. Okay, so we have a couple of servers is been hosted here. Let me disconnect all. So you may be getting confused here. So let me disconnect over the remote desktop here. Okay, so I mean disconnected again. So in the finance VNet, so right now you can able to see here, you have a North Europe, you have a two network. One is finance VNet and HR VNet. Let's go back to the whiteboard. So in the North Europe, you have two VNet is in place. What was the VNet name? First VNet name was Finance VNet, and second name was HR VNet. And in the Finance VNet, what was the computer you have been connected? You have connected in the Finance VNet. You have connected VM1. In the HR VNet, which computer you was connected in the past? You have connected a VM code, the HR VNet you have connected VM4, I believe. Yes, VM, yes. In the HR VNet, it's been connected VM4, right? Is this communication is there any communication between VM1 to VM2 now? Can you comment it? You are done a lab before the break. Is there was any communication? No, right? In case if you are in case if you forgot this one, let's go back and check because a few people is a bit confusing because we have multiple VM. See here, the VM4 right now, if you can able to see VM4 where this has been connected now, this has been connected to HR VNet. And if you go to VM1 where this has been connected, this has been connected to Finance VNet. Now let's connect to this both the computer now and let's see. And so I'm connecting to, let's connect a password. So enable. So right now the communication to this is the this is the VM to the VNM. This is a VM1. Okay. Now let's connect to VM4. This has been connected to HR network. Let's connect to that. So right now connecting. Right now we can able to see this is a VM4. Okay. So right now you can able to see from here to VM1, there is no communication. See, you maybe noticed one more thing here. Whenever um, any VNet, if you're creating, always the numbers are starting with the 4. Okay. So I'll after this peering class, I'll tell you what is the reason behind that. Okay. Because many time you may be thinking like, where is your 1, 2, 3? Okay. So let's try to understand that by this. So right now, VM1 to VM4 communication is not here. So we're trying to enable a VM or VNet peering here. We'll try to see how this has been configured. Okay, so right now we're trying to see how this configuration is being enabled here. So right now I'm going to the VNet property. So VNet peering has been always enabled in the VNet properties. Okay, is not enabled in a VM, or it's been not enabled in a subnet or in a VNet level, always this has been enabled in a network level. Right now, where you're going to make a communication, you are going to make a communication between finance VM to HR VM, not VM, VNet. Finance VNet to HR VNet, the communication you're enabling. So you need to click on any of these VNet properties. Now you're going to make a friendship between finance and HR VNet. Okay. So at least only one VNet you want to make a friendship. You don't need to go and make in another one here. So I need to go here and there you can able to see an option called peering option. So this finance VNet is going to make a friendship or making a peering or a concept is been with a development one or a HR VNet. So here you can able to give some name saying that finance VM is going to make a, this is for you want to future maybe today you may be configuring this link or a merging or it's been a connection. Tomorrow you may be not available in that office, right? So the next network engineer or a security engineer who has been working on this cloud portal should able to understand where this link is going. So you can give a meaningful name or you can able to understand where to where this connection is been enabling. So I'm just giving you like this is the connection between finance to HR. So right now where I'm inside finance VNet property. So I'm making, please make a connection between, I'm saying in the, there is a two rule we need. Okay. In case if you're making a friendship, you need a relationship from both the side also. It's not that, not in the one way, right? Yeah, college days, you may be going one way. So this is not a one way communication because you need to have a trust between here to here and here to here also. So you need to have a rule saying that from here to here trust is enabled and from here to here also the trust is enabled. So you want to add a two rule here. So this rule can be enabled either here or here. Both the side automatically it will add that you can able to see here. Now, if you go back to the screen here, in the peering, you are seeing that finance to HR communication is enabled. Now here I'm saying like, who is the remote network? I'm saying from HR to finance. Now here I'm making who is my partner right now where I'm inside a finance net. I'm saying like my partner is going to be HR net. I'm saying my partner is HR net. I'm going to make a friendship. Any doubt, anyone? So you can able to hear. So any question from anyone? Can you just comment it on the chat? Is it clear? Now the moment if you're adding here in the notification area, you can able to see there is a two rule it's been added here. See both the side there is a rule is been adding. See here, there is a that's an important point. See here, there is a trust is been adding on the finance to HR and HR to finance also. Both the place this rule is going and creating here. Right now, if you can able to see the virtual network, if you go to the finance properties and click on the in the resource panel in the middle of the screen, you may be able to see a resource panel. Here you can clicking a peering option. In the peering, you can able to see there is a trust it's been created between finance to HR here. See, this is the link it's been created and this is the network is been linked. Where this you're seeing, this is you're seeing on the properties of a finance. Now, if you go to the HR properties in the peering tab, you can able to see this is been paired with a finance network. See, I have configured only on one network, right? But automatically this has been enabled a role in opposite side also. Rahman is raising hand. So any question, Rahman? So any doubt? All members, can you just comment? Are you with me or any question or a concern? One single line. If you're okay, can you just put a single line on the chat? This may be a confusing topic. Yeah. Yes. Instead of you want to make only one-way communication, you have an option. See here, allow defaultly. You can block. See, if it's only one-way communication, you can able to select this option. Only from one side to another side, you want to make it. The second option, you need to select it. By default, the communication from both the side is being allowed. Now only you need from finance to HR only. Reverse if you are not needed. You need to ensure that that is being blocked. Okay, good. So all are able to all are understood the concept of VNet peering. Now let's go and check. Yes, super. Is there any limit? Limit number of peering limit? I need to just check it. Let me check my document page. Just give me 500 VNet. We can connect it. That is was the my understanding. Let me check it. 500 is the yes. 500 is the VNet. So we can able to connect it at a time. 500 network connection can be able to make it. When we do VNet global peering, yes, that's a good question. I'm coming to that point. The VNet peering cost, I'm coming. Yes, there is a cost is available. I'm coming on to the pricing part. Before that, let me see or let me show you how practically this is working. Alfred, I'm coming to that point. Okay. Is there any limit for peering? Only the cost only is the limit we have. I'll coming to the point of a VNet pricing part. Right now we have enabled a peering, right? Let's go and see how this VM is being looks now. Are we able to communicate each other or not? That is the lab right now we are doing. Then I'll go to peering part. Right now we have enabled finance and HR network now. Let's go to the VM now. Right now you can able to see the magic, right? See one network to another network. You are able to communicate here. See, you are able to one network to another network and reverse also you can able to see you are able to communicate to other one also. Bandwidth has been it's a low latency and high bandwidth generally you are getting because backend connection is been completely managed by Microsoft. So you will be getting low latency and high bandwidth on this. Now coming on into the pricing part. Right now you may be seeing how the VNet regional VNet is been configured, right? Why this has been calling a regional VNet peering? The reason it's been like the right now the peering has been established within a region, right? North Europe to North Europe, we have been enabled this one. So this is basically a VNet to VNet peering within a region. So this is basically known as regional VNet peering here. Now, if you go back to peering price, yes, there is a price is being available for this. Now, if you go to the properties or the Microsoft Azure document, this you can able to see peering price. It's been calculated in a month. There is a price is been enabled here. So there is a peering, there is a price is been enabled. So and pricing for a pricing, there is a fixed price is been available for a month. So it's not a free product. There is a charge is been available for the peering service. Now, right now we have enabled a peering between one region to another region. Now, if you go back to a whiteboard, Right now you can able to see here. Right now you have enabled a peering connection from here to here, right? So what is the peering you use? You have a enabled a regional VNet peering, right? This is a regional VNet peering is being used here. So what is the outcome? Or any devices or any resource which is been connected in this VNet will be able to communicate with this one. So that is the outcome of this. Now I'm giving a whiteboard. You're not able to see, Sujit, all the members. Whiteboard is been because in my secondary monitor I can able to see the whiteboard. Okay, so Sujit, you may have to just refresh your screen. So right now you can able to see this is being enabled in the North Europe region, right? This exercise we have done in the North Europe region. Now we have another region also it's been available there. That's called Orange Network. Let's enable a global VNet peering here, right? Okay, let's make a communication between HR into this Orange because HR network has been right now it's been associated with the North. Orange has been associated with the West. So let's make a global VNet peering. How this has been working because we have a server is been hosted here. It's called DB server, right? Let's try to see whether the DB server is being able to communicate to VM4 now. There's a lab right now. We are trying to do it here. Now, if you go back here, you have a DB server is been available here. This is the DB server, which is being hosted in the Orange network here. Orange, you can able to see this is a number. So let's go and connect it. So I'm connecting to the Orange network. Now Orange network is been connecting you. Right now, if you are trying to ping 10.0.0.5, communication is not because the reason it's like both are working in different region and you are not able to communicate each other. So let's try to see how this has been enabled. So let's go back. So you can able to see there is a two, sorry, not two, we have a four network here. So let's go to virtual network. Orange network is in the east to west. So I'm trying to make a global VNet peering with HR1. I'm going to, no, right now I'm not able to make it Ranjit because there is no connection is been enabled here, right? So we need to enable a peering here. So I'm going to the Orange properties, the same procedure we need to do. So I need to make it saying that Orange to HR, there's the communication allowed. And here I'm saying like HR to Orange is the communication. So here I made HR VNet. Who is it? H Orange network. So who is my partner? HR. So made rule here. So let's wait. So right now the peering has been completed. Right now you can able to see Orange to HR peernet has been enabled. Now if you go to HR VNet, HR VNet also you can able to see there is a two peering has been enabled here because one it's already connected with the finance. Now you can able to see there is a global VNet peering also enabled. Now, if you go to this computer and give the name, what is the computer name there? Because I need to just go and check the computer IP address there. VNet, HR VNet, which computer you have been associated? Finance this, okay. And you have finance VM4. Yes, HR VNet is this one. And what is the IP address of that? Yes, HR VNet IP address 10.1.4, not C. So you need to key 10.1.0.0.4. You can able to see this able to communicate now. See, because we have enabled a VNet peering here. But at the same time, if you're trying to communicate with a VM which is being hosted in another network, see, this is not communicating. The point I'm trying to say here, you have a multiple VNet is been configured here. See here in the North Europe, you need to comment it on the chat. Okay, in the North Europe region, this is Prod VNet and this is HR VNet, and you have a orange, and this is in another region. This is like West US. Now you need to comment. This is myself. This is Ranjit, and this is Sujit. Okay, this is Devi. This is Sudak. So Devi and Sudak are friends now after doing a peering. They are friends. Okay, so they can able to communicate each other. Now Sudak and Sujit is made a friendship with the help of a global VNet peering. So they can able to communicate each other. So this concept is being clear to everyone. Now it right now A, B, C. There are three people here. A and B are friends. B and C are friends. This doesn't means A and C are friends. Is this clear? Technically speaking, yes. In technically speaking here, you have a multiple VNet is been configured here. If you're coming here, you have a VM1, you have a VM2, you have a DB server. Now you made a communication peering between these two with the help of a regional VNet peering. So what is the result? This VNet can able to communicate between these two. Now you made a communication only between HR and Orange. You made a friendship here. So this both can communicate. So this doesn't mean that DB1 can able to communicate VM1 and VM cannot communicate DB. What is the reason behind that? Because even though these both are connected as a regional VNet peering, by default, there won't be any communication between these two net. Is it clear now? If yes, can you comment it on the chat? That's the reason when you try to ping from DB server into VM1, you are getting a result is been failed. Thank you. So I hope it's been clear now. Yes. Yes, there is no peering. Yes, exactly. Yes, there is no peering between VM1 and DB also. So there is no communication between Pro to this. Yes. So super. So you are a peering expert now, peering expert. Only VM2 can connect to DB server. Exactly. Uh, I think Davis, we cannot say only VM2, but if you're coming on a real practical scenario, any device which is been hosted inside this VNet. For example, like if you have configured a VM3 or a VM4, or you have Active Directory server or any resource which is been hosted under this VNet can able to communicate. Yes, only VM2 right now is available. In a reality or in a production scenario, any device or any network components which got an IP address from that VNet will be able to communicate DB server. That may be the right statement on in a real production scenario. Exactly. Right. So, so thank you, team. I think peering concept about VNet peering has been clear to everyone here. How the communication is being established and how the communication is going from one VNet to another VNet, one subnet to another subnet, within a subnet, and different data center communication. How this is being enabled and however you can make a communication control that has been clear to you. Yes, peering is being required. Exactly. Definitely we'll be giving a copy of this slide and we'll be giving a copy of handout and this one I will be posting on in the group. Definitely will give you recording session. Okay. I hope all are joined on the WhatsApp. So give us some time. We'll be uploading all the records and study materials on the portal. So basically this is using a TCP and only. So normally this has been using a TCP this one. And by default it is the static route only it's been using. So someone has been asked like what is the protocol you're using. So Madhura, it's like by default TCP it's been using with the help of a static route it's been using. But if there are some situation in case if you've configured a on-premises server, I'm just giving a Madhura, I'm just giving another scenario. For example, like you are in a customer place and the customer is looking for any kind of a hybrid connectivity, or if they want to connect to a on-premises data center, that kind of a situation you have enabled a VPN. That kind of situation you have to use a BGP protocol. You have to use a BGP for making this one. So BGP will come to that picture. What is the number, please? So WhatsApp number. So already Surag has been pinned WhatsApp link, I believe. So if anyone having that WhatsApp link, can you just post it on the chat? So Rajit is not joined, seems. Yes, Surag's message is. So you can able to see. Yes, Surag has been posted on the chat, so you can able to use that. So that's the WhatsApp link we have. So requesting all the members to use it. So let's go to the next topic. It's called NSG. So NSG is the topic we can cover next. Before that, any question from any members? Okay. Please answer this. Which one? Um, what was the question? If VM2, if VM2 can access DB server, VM the same, not VM cannot access. VM2 can access DB server and VM on the same VNet. No, VM1 and VM2, Mainur Rahman, if you are on the same VNet, you will be able to communicate. Right now, both are on not the same VNet, right? Right now, both are on a different VNet here. If you are seeing here, VM1 is in a prod VNet and VM2 is in a HR VNet. It's not in the same VNet. North Europe is the resource group. Okay. It's not a subnet. It's been prod VNet. VM1 is been placed in VM1 is been created in the prod VNet and HR is been created. VM2 is been created in HR VNet. So the peering is been only configured between HR to Orange only. HR VNet to Orange VNet, the communication is made. We didn't made any communication or we didn't made any peering between prod VNet to Orange here. Now, Davis, your question, can you just repeat? I'm not, I'm searching your question. So if you can repost your question, Davis. Rahman, I hope it's been clear to you, right? Which was a static IP addresses means it can be a dynamic or a static. It depends upon how Akmal you have been configuring your VMs here. So VMs on in the VNet can be configured on in the uh, VMs on in the VNet. It can be configured either in a static or in a dynamic also. Akmal. If you go to the VM properties, if you take a VM properties here, if you go to VM properties here, click on the networking tab. In the networking tab, inside an NAZ, you will get a flexibility to select IP addresses in a static or a dynamic. By default, right now you can able to see, right now this has been configured as dynamic. By default, whatever IP address is been released is been configured as a dynamic only. So in case if you want to move it to static, you can click here and you can able to change it to static here. You have option to change it to static here. So that depends upon how your configuration is needed. Yes, my knowledge. It's like uh, it was not a subnet, it was a VNet only. It's not in the same. Now I'm getting another question. If you need to access both VNet Pro and HR to a team server, yes, we need to make a communication between Pro to HR. There is another VNet peering to be configured. You need to make a communication to that. You need to make another rule here. Now, if you, in case if you want to make a communication to Pro to Orange, if you want to make it, you need, or DB server, if you want to make another rule, you need to make it. Any question from any members? I hope you are comfortable with the peering concept here. So any doubt? Super. Give me a second. So that means every VNet needs to peer to connect DB server. Yes, in case if you want to Rahman, if you want to connect to DB server, and if you want all the resource needs to be connected to each other, you need to make a communication. Thank you. Give me a second. A minute, I'm just muting my mic. Okay. So the communication between different VNet or the communication between different region concept has been clear. Now we are discussing about a how filtering can be enabled in a network. So right now, if you're a couple of communication is by default, it's been available by default. The subnet to subnet communication is available. But when it is coming on a real production scenario, this kind of a model is been not recommended because we need to ensure that you are doing a layered approach, right? So you are doing a layered approach for making a connection. So how to make this connection or how to uh, make a communication between each computer or it's like each VNet or in an organization. So that needs to be configured or that needs to be managed in the organization. So that's basically done with the help of a two concept here that basically known as NSG, and the second concept is being known as it's been knowing as a firewall. So management or a traffic management inside your organization, it's been managed with the help of a two concept. One is known as a NSG, and another concept is known as Microsoft Azure Firewall. So how to make a security or how to make a traffic management in your organization, it's been done with the help of a two concept. One is called NSG. Second one is known as firewall. Right now we have seen the moment when you create a VM inside your organization or in your cloud, by default, each VM is been assigned with a VNIC, right? You may be already aware that there will be a VNIC is been configured. Now this VNIC is been attached to subnet. Subnet is been attached to VNet. Now, if I'm a user connecting from outside or internal or another computer, if I need to reach this destination, these are the roadblocks I have. Because if I'm sending an RDP packet, if I'm taking a remote desktop to this computer, how this communication generally will happen? First, it will go to an internet, and this will connect to Microsoft data center. And generally, you will be enabling a feature in the perimeter network. This is basically known as firewall. So this firewall will validate whether the packet which you are sending inside is being allowed or blocked. The firewall will verify this one. So basically the firewall will ensure that whatever packet is can be coming or going, that's incoming and inbound or outbound, that may be the right word, inbound or outbound is been verified completely by the firewall. And whatever communication is coming here, it will validate in the firewall. If this has been allowed, this will enter into VNet. Now, again, you have a two more blocks we have. One is called a subnet and you have a VNIC also. So the next level of verification you will do with the help of a NSG. So NSG will be generally configured in the subnet level or this has been configured in the VNIC level also. This basically is configured in the VNIC level, or this will be generally is configured in the subnet level. So this basically, there are two level of validation or verification generally happening on in a Microsoft side. One it's been like it's been configured in a VNet level, and second one it's been configured uh, in the perimeter level, that is on the firewall level. So end of this session, you need to understand, in case you are planning to have any kind of a traffic management or any kind of a network monitoring or a network filtering or a traffic management, if you want to do inside your organization, you need to enable for a VNet, we need to enable for NSG, and you need to enable another feature called firewall. With the help of a firewall and with the help of NSG, you will be able to manage the traffic management inside your organization. Now let's try to do how this can be used, how this can be managed. Now coming on into the NSG side, NSG has been a free product. You don't need to pay anything for that. This has been completely free, and firewall is generally it's been a there is a cost is involved. This generally it's been configured in the VNet level, and this has been configured in the perimeter level. Now let's go for creation of a NSG. So as I said, NSG is a service. So NSG is a resource, or I can say this is acting like a internal firewall. This is basically acting like an internal firewall. So how this firewall is been working? It depends upon the rule or definition which you are enabling inside your organization. So you need to understand, NSG is a resource, right now. If you can go to a portal, you may be able to see you. If you select network security group, this is the term generally we are using. See, network security group. Sorry, I'm sharing a whiteboard only. Let me share portal. I was about to share the Azure portal. Right now, if you select a Azure portal here, you can able to see here there is a network security group is been created here. Right now, you can able to see there is a network security group is been created. See, this is the network security group is a free product available on the portal. Now, you may be already aware that the moment when you are trying to create any VM on an Azure portal, you may be already noticed automatically this network security group is been created. For example, like if you go to a resource group here, see, there's automatically, you may be seeing like if you have selected an old resource group, you may be seeing like there is a network security group is automatically created here. See, VM1, there is a network security group is being created. You have a network security group is being created for VM2. There is a network security group is being created for VM3. There is a network security group is being created for VM4. So by default, whenever you're creating any VM, by default, there is a network security group or a internal firewall is being created, and this has been mapped into the VNIC level. What is VNIC level? What is VNIC? But VNIC is nothing. Right now, you are using a computer in your home, or you are attending this session, right? How this has been connected? You have a laptop is been available with you. You are connected to the Wi-Fi access point available in your organization or office or in your home. With the help of a Wi-Fi network card, you have been connected. Or you may be used another concept like you may be used using RJ45 cable, you may be connected. So where this has been connected, this basically connected into a portal, right? If you're taking a portal here in the um, Microsoft side or in a normal hardware side, you may be having a port called Ethernet port, or few people may be using a term called network interface card, right? You may be having RJ45 port is available. So that RJ45 cable, you've been connected. This was the legacy or a on-premises method we were using for connecting. Now, when it is coming on in a cloud side, you cannot use a physical box there, right? You cannot use a physical network interface card there. So instead of that, all this network interface card may be moved into virtual mode, that basically known as virtual network interface card. So what I'm trying to say here, so the moment you create a VM on in a Microsoft portal for making a communication between a networks or a different VMs, there is a VNIC is been automatically it's been enabled. So the NSG or the network firewall which you are creating on in a Microsoft portal, automatically creating a firewall and attaching into a VNIC. In the VNIC level, this is attaching to VNIC, saying that any packet is coming on into the VM, always this will be monitored by the NSG, which is being attached into a VNIC. So tomorrow I'll be showing how this NSG has been configured because it will take some time. I just giving a summary of how this NSG has been working. So this NSG is generally configuring on a VNIC level, or you may be having a configured in the subnet level also. It's very simple. Uh, you are staying in a flat. This is your flat, okay? In front of your flat, you are appointing a security person. Now this flat is been part of a villa, okay? This is a building. Now in your villa also, you have another security person is standing. Okay. Now this has been part of a residence area. You have a main security is here. Okay. Clear? So this person name is firewall. The security available in front of your residence area. This is person name is known as NSG, and you need some private security is need. So you need another person is called NSG. So one courier person is coming to your home saying that deliver AZ500 handout. So firewall will ask, where are you going? So you need to show all your badge, everything. If it is allowed, it will enter here. So next person will ask, where are you going? So you need to say, hey, Robin given a handout, we need to deliver into Ranjit home. So this person will validate. If this is allowed, again it will go. You cannot go directly here. You have another security is here that is in NSG. He also will verify. Now, how this has been configured? This has been configured. First security person is been configured in the network interface card level. This person is being configured in the subnet level, and this person is being configured in the VNet level. So this is the way the security has been enabled, and how the security persons are working we'll be discussing tomorrow. Any question, anyone? It's been really interesting, or it's been boring, or how? Yeah, when accessing from home to network to out of VPN, Microsoft, how this security is. Yes, definitely will consider that point in stuff. So we'll be consider that point tomorrow. I'll be showing that. I hope it's been interesting. This sessions blocking and this one. We are trying to start from a scratch because it's a mix of patch. So trying to consider everyone here rather than just going too advanced or a too PPT based. We are trying to make help people to understand this concept. Okay, there's a way it's been we are trying to enable here. Thank you for the nice comments. Thank you all. So request everyone to join the WhatsApp group so I can able to share a couple of material that will enable you to learn or yes. So thank you, Sujit. Thank you, everyone. And request everyone to use the link for joining. Yeah. So Suryak, over to you.
Thank you, Robin, for the session, and I hope you guys have learned something new today. And I hope you guys will be joining tomorrow as well. Please do make sure that you join tomorrow as well, so that you don't lose anything that is upcoming. So yeah, and thank you all again for joining today's session, and see you tomorrow.
Yes, and it's been very happy that Suryak, like people are coming, like they have learned something. So that is really motivating us because that will help us to share more informations or a knowledge or a practical things on in the next session. So that's been really motivating us. So at least So happy to know that you have learned something today. So that's very good.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Surak,
Thank
for
you.
sharing the WhatsApp link. So team, please join on the WhatsApp group. So we'll try to give you some materials and that will be a reference for you in case if you need anything can help you. Thank you. Have a great day. Thank you all. Bye.